Krishna. So that's very important to understand. It's not happening on its own, but rather it's happening because of the contact of Krishna. When one is in contact with Krishna, it is called perfect Brahma Sukha. When the mind is in touch with the impersonal, one becomes satisfied. But one must advance further to render service to the Supreme Personality of Godhead. For once remain Brahman effulgence is not always assured. That means even if you are merged in the Brahman and experiencing some sukha, it's not permanent. Even though it's part of the Lord's effulgence, your remaining there is not permanent because you are
active and
we are active. We are always looking for some action, and we derive pleasure in some activity. Unless it's a spiritual activity, it will not sustain. Simply remaining in the Brahman, feeling some happiness will not make the soul satisfied, completely satisfied. There's some satisfaction, but he will not be completely satisfied. He wants to have some action, and that's what makes him come down. If he has good knowledge, he can progress further. If the knowledge is not there, then he will come back to this material world to do something, some philanthropic activities like Srila Prabhupada says. So therefore, it's not always assured. Yeah, sure, some personalities can remain there for many eons of existence, but they also eventually will come down. Through the mercy of devotees. Sometimes it is said that when Narad Muni goes through the Brahma Jyoti singing, this personality stuck there will wake up and say, "Who's this?" And then through their mercy, they will come and do devotional practice, and then they will go back to Godhead. That is the reason why Prabhupada says it's not always assured. Now, in a few lines down, because in the Brahman situation as well as in the Paramatma situation, there is no personal connection. Therefore, the living entity will still be unsatisfied. So Srila Prabhupada mentions that when you are in the Bhagavan relationship, you have so many different types of relationship that is not found in the other two manifestation of the Supreme. Okay, so just like we all have a relationship, and it's actually very nice to have some relationship. Very few people want to be alone in a room by themselves. Either they are crazy or they must be crazy. Or depressed or some psychotic situation. They cannot relate to people. So they just sit and stare at something like that. But normally, a normal living entity, he gets full satisfaction in having a relationship. So people get depressed and so on because they are not getting the pure relationship. And the relationship they get with one another is not what you call enlivening for them. It's actually depressing, as you say. And therefore they go into this internalized, and then they just meditate on something. Why is this world? And they go crazy like that. But the real relationship is with the Bhagavan feature, where everything is Anandam Buddhi Vardhanam, ever expanding, like the ocean of bliss. Every relation, even Krishna says, Haribol only use pain. Yeah, so much happiness like that. So that is there, and that requires us to follow what the system Srila Prabhupada has given us. That transcendental bliss is so wonderful. And the example is as one becomes happy seeing the full moon in the night, right? You see, you feel so happy just seeing it. So Prabhupada says one acquires natural happiness upon seeing the moon. But when one can see the Supreme Personality of Godhead, one's transcendental happiness increases hundreds and thousands of times. What it means is, even though Brahman has some happiness, compared to meeting the Lord, that is like a drop in the ocean. The pleasure of meeting Krishna cannot be explained. When Gopakumar goes to see Krishna in Vrindavan, when he sees Krishna, he just faints. Yeah.
Krishna also faints.
Krishna also faints. So that much happiness is they feel the bliss. As Prabhupada says, hundreds and thousands of times. Actually, cannot be calculated. So as soon as one is intimately connected to the Supreme Personality of Godhead, one surely becomes free from all material contamination. So when we take out the process to please Krishna, only to sole purpose of pleasing Krishna, then you're free from all material contamination. And the other aspect is cessation of the material happiness. So when no more material happiness is experienced, but rather spiritual happiness, it's called nirvana. Okay. And then Rupa Goswami from Nectar of Devotion is quoted this verse about Brahmanda, Brahma Ananda. So if Brahma Ananda, the bliss of merging in Brahman effulgence, were multiplied 100 trillion times, it would still not equal even an atomic fragment of the ocean of transcendental bliss felt in devotion. Just imagine, it cannot be compared. So this is a comparison they are giving. It's amazing. Most of us just want Brahma Buddha Prasanatma situation. But that's not enough until one goes further from that. You want to go into the state of pure devotional service. And that Brahma Sukha is different from this Brahma Sukha, from the Brahma Jyoti. So that's what we need to understand. So the Prabhupada says also the word adoksha jalambam refers to keeping the mind always engaged in the absolute truth, who is beyond the mind and material speculation. Sa vai manaha Krishna Padara Vindayo. This is Ambarish Maharaj right there. And this is a result of deity worship. So when you do deity worship properly, you will always be thinking of the Supreme Lord's lotus feet, his pastimes, like that. So the whole idea is constant engagement. Maybe now we are not doing, but the intention should be that. We should think in 5 years, 10 years, my retirement, I want to do more and more service. Mostly devotees will do service a lot in the beginning, and then as they get old, they cut out. Then they say they retired from devotional service. Actually, you can see that's not the goal.
It should increase.
Yeah, you're meant to increase and relish it. That is the real Brahma Sukha. That is the whole idea. You're not supposed to stop service, but increase the service. Text 38.
But Prabhu, why is Prahlad Maharaj saying that? Prabhupada explained it very well, the difference between Paramatma and Brahman effulgence. But why is Prahlad Maharaj saying that worshipping the super soul within everyone's heart, not the personal form? Or...
Because the asuras don't even accept that, no?
Okay, yeah,
right?
they
so
are
step by step.
Against Narayana,
yeah.
right? Okay.
So that's one thing. And then for them to understand the Lord is in the heart, it's a revelation, and they can meditate. And especially in that age, the process is meditating on the super soul. Okay? So it's not like the way we do it here. Okay.
Koti prayaso surabalaka hare upasane swe hridi chidravatsatah swasyatmanas sakyurasesha dehinam samanyata kim vishayopapadanaihi.
Oh, my friends, sons of the Asuras, the Supreme Personality of Godhead in his Super Soul feature always exists within the cores of the hearts of all living entities. Indeed, he is the well-wisher and friend of all living entities. And there is no difficulty in worshipping the Lord. Why then should people not engage in his devotional service? Why are they so to unnecessarily producing artificial paraphernalia for sense gratification, like iPhone, like virtual reality, all those things? Because he's saying the Lord is already in your heart. You can get all the blessings and the joy if you can just worship him. It's like that. No one is equal to the Lord. No one is greater than the Lord. So how can anyone produce something that gives more joy than the Lord? Worship of the Lord. That's something he wants them to think about. So if you are a devotee of the Lord, you can capture the Lord easily. But of course, that means you have to do the process properly. So continuing the purport, Srila Prabhupada writes somewhere in the middle of the paragraph, the Lord is so friendly to the living entity, in the first paragraph, that he remains within the heart so that one can always contact him without difficulty. You don't need to call him, he's there. Just call out to him. Right? There's no other, you don't need any kind of phones to call him.
It's a speed dial.
It's already there. He's already waiting for you to call out to him. How? The process to call out is Shravanam Kirtanam Vishnu Swaram. So again, you have to do it with affection. Not mechanically doing it, but with affection. You know, seriously want to connect with him. I want the Lord to listen to me like that. As soon as one hears of the Supreme Personal Godhead, Krishna Kirtana, one immediately comes in touch with the Lord. That means as soon as you hear Krishna Katha, like we are reading Bhagavatam this morning, we're actually in touch with the Lord. We are actually in touch. So whenever we are doing that, we are with the Lord at the same time. Only thing separating us is our surrender or our desire, our strong desire, like that. So in the next paragraph, Srila Prabhupada writes, he says, going to hell requires great endeavor. It's funny. He says, going to Krishna is simple because you just do this process, 9 process. But if you want to go to hell, you don't have to worry. Why? He says you can, all you need is some money to go for illicit sex in brothels. For meat eating, you have slaughterhouse. For gambling, you have casinos and hotels. Go to Las Vegas. Anything that happens in Las Vegas stays in Las Vegas, as well with the super soul. And if you take alcohol, you open breweries. Krishna says that. Prabhupada mentions all this. So clearly he says, therefore, if one wants to go to hell, he must endeavor very much. But if he wants to return to home back there, there's no difficulty. All you have to do is sit down and meditate on the super soul and chant. So that's a very nice argument. Right?
Yeah, in a way it's right, because you have to go to those places to do that. But here you sit wherever you are, you can.
Yeah, that's amazing. Huh? His argument so good. There's no difficulty in approaching the Lord. Adanta gopir vishatam tamisham puna punascharvita charvanam. Because of our inability to control the senses, we go here and go there, and therefore we go to hell. That's his point. Go here, go there, and end up in hell. But if one is sensible, that means you know how to control your senses, he can very easily obtain the favor of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Because why? He's with us all the time, 24/7. And when you die, he is with you. When you go to the next body, he follows you. Who is your friend? Your relatives, your wife, your children, they say you can go. We'll meet you in heaven or hell. They won't say like that. Huh? They say you can go. I want to go somewhere else. But you can see the super soul will go. You go to the body of a worm in a stool, he's also there with you. You're suffering and he's watching you suffer. And he's trying to tell you, why don't you think of me? Like that. So the whole idea is easy to do. That's what Prabhupada's point is. And even when we offer, he quotes the verse, Patram Pushpam Param. Simple. With love, he says, Bhaktya Prayachati or Bhakti Uparitam. 2 things, just Bhakti. If he can do that, he will accept it, he says. So therefore, his question to his friend is, why are you all taking the temporary pleasure when you can get permanent pleasure in Krishna? Right? It's a good question. So in your own life also, you should ask yourself, why am I attracted to temporary pleasure? Constantly you should ask, then you try to find a solution. If you don't think about it, then you're hiding behind those things. So we don't want that. Right? Text 39.
रायकलत्रं पशवसुतादयो गृहामहि कुञ्जरकोशभूतयः सर्वेऽर्थकामक्षणभङ्गरायुषः कुर्वन्ति मर्त्यस्य कियत् प्रियं चलाः
One's riches, beautiful wife and female friends, one's sons and daughters, one's residence, one's domestic animals like cows, elephants, and horses, one's treasury, economic development, and sense gratification. Indeed, even the lifetime in which one can enjoy all these material opulences are certainly temporary and flickering. Since the opportunity of human life is temporary, what benefit can these material opulences give to a sensible man who has understood himself to be eternal? So if you understand that you are eternal entity, why are you then going after temporary things? That's his question to his classmates. It's also a question for all of us. It's like a wake-up call. Why are you still dreaming? Get up and do something better. So opportunity for human life is given, so we have to seek that which is permanent, not temporary. In the purport, Srila Prabhupada says, as in the previous verse, ask Kim Vishayo Papadanahi. What is the actual benefit of so-called economic development? Okay, his point is, historically everybody knows that all it does is some comfort. Okay, you get some comfort, that's about it. And no matter how much you improve technology, everyone's still going to die. They're going to get old, they're going to get disease, and the only thing is you have to pay more. Right? Nobody, they don't care about that. They won't fix that problem. But everyone has to keep paying more and more, and then eventually you don't want to live, The bills are too big, right? Everything's going up. Like in some countries, everything's super expensive. Like I think in Japan, this room, they will divide it into like eight or nine, and they have these hotels just to sleep, like coffin hotels, they call it. So you come in the night, you just go in, sleep. They have lights in the side. You can at least, I think so, like that. It's very small, right?
Yeah, even in I think China, so some places are
already doing this.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, so then you just check in and check out. So hopefully you don't die, otherwise they'll take the whole box and burn it. But it's like that. And it's expensive also. Yeah. And people live they live in the street, and then when they finish, they come, and the money they earn is just enough for that box. Yeah. They sleep and then they go. It's a terrible life, Do you think about it?
And also, after all these, advancements, some of the basic stuff is actually, it's more expensive, like organic or
right,
things like that. It's more expensive. You pay more money for it.
I was going to say, you have to buy oxygen tank and then put mask and walk around.
So that is advancement. To get the basics, you have to pay more. I already had it. Made it more complex now. To get the basics, you have to pay more.
That's what Prabhupada's argument is. What is the real extent? So he says even Roman Empire, Mughal Empire, but so many, they all came just for one thing. Some economic development for bodily comfort. Sarve artha kamaha. They all did the same thing. They went through wars, pestilence, famine, so on. But it's just temporary. After a while, it's gone. Their kingdom is gone, right? Where's the Roman Empire now? Where's the British Empire? Just in London, a small group, 3 of them, and they are claiming to be king and queen. Stupid buggers. And the whole country is stupid also, because they are paying them the tax money. And so get rid of that and save some money, or save those poor people. It's just foolishness, sentimentality. Instead of encouraging people to understand the body is not the all in all, everything is not permanent. They make it permanent. They think everyone's happy when the king and they get married and so on. It doesn't matter. as the centuries go on, all this looks funny and weird.
And they have people, they're royal watchers who their job is just to watch what they're doing.
Yeah, take pictures, like that, wasting money. All they can show for all that what British Empire is, all that the nonsense they did, and all the things they stole from other countries in their museums. Or this we stole from India, this we stole from Burma, this we stole from China. Right? That's what conquering means. So, Srila Prabhupada's point throughout the purport is things are always miserable when you try to enhance material economic development. It is. You can't stop it. As Krishna says, this place is Dukhalayam Ashashyatam. Yeah. It may be pleasing for some time, but eventually it becomes boring. Like, right? When you ask your kid, right, they always say it's boring. Because they experience like that. Oh, it's boring. The teacher will teach, and how's the class today? Boring. But you cannot endure because they cannot take it anymore. So similarly, after a few years, now all the phones look like iPhones. Right or not? Right? All the phones. So they run out of ideas. So next phase is, I don't know what they're going to do. You know. Then they'll say that's new. It's all gadget, you know, just to make it's what they call, they just tweak the sense enjoyment a little bit and everyone gets excited. Titillating, they say, like that. It's nonsense. But you find that we are this Archana Seva daily worship has been going on for centuries, millenniums. Same thing, no different. And you find joy just doing some arti. And people think, what is this guy waving? He's getting so much pleasure.
There's no Archana to all.
Yeah, no need. So that is why Prabhupada's point is, you know, try to appreciate what you have and be happy, he says. Be satisfied in your material life and be satisfied in doing simple archana for the Lord. And then your love for him automatically becomes so strong. So he emphasized that so many times in different purports. You know. And he says, especially in this age, he says the concession is given. You don't have to do all kinds of difficult gymnastics. You know. It's simply by chanting the Hare Krishna mantra. And he quotes from the Brihad Naradiya Purana, Hare Nama, Hare Nama, Hare Nama. Simply by doing that, he says you will revive your original relationship with God and you can become so happy. So this one thing, if you do nicely, you will experience a lot of peace in your heart because you know everything is nonsense. That's the real peace. And I'm entangled for no good reason. Now I know what the real reason is. So you become very peaceful. And as you make more and more connection with Krishna, you become happy with your existence and satisfied with what you have. You don't hanker for, as Mahaprabhu says, Nadanam, Najanam, Nasundam. You don't need any of those things. You don't care about those things anymore. Because those things don't give you real happiness anymore. You know, sometimes you experience people come, oh, Prabhu, you're so good, and you feel happy because they say. If they don't tell you, you don't feel happy, right? So those things don't bother you anymore. You say, oh, okay, you know, whatever. You know. Now your service makes you happy. That service itself, you're not worried about what people say. The very service you do is very happy. Right? You make the halwa, you put so much effort, and you're thinking how Krishna is going to taste it. Will it be sweet for him? I hope Krishna loves it like that. You're cooking like that. Your consciousness is how he's thinking. And it doesn't matter for you, you know, what people say like that. And if because you put so much affection in the halwa, even if you didn't put sugar, it'll taste so nicely for whoever tastes. Because the Krishna is tasting the bhakti like that. So therefore he says, in the end, Prabhupada says, in human life, however, an eternal dormant relationship with Krishna is possible to revive through chanting. Therefore, Prahlad Maharaj has described this life as arthadam. Consequently, instead of wasting our time for economic development, which cannot give us any happiness, if we simply try to revive our eternal relationship with Krishna, we will properly utilize our lives. So devotees should understand what is proper utilization of the time we have, you know. You shouldn't just chase after economic. You may be expert in your field, botanists, physicists, computer technologies. So someone will come from a different company and offer you, or will double the pay you're getting. You're getting 150, I'll give you 300. Come to my company. Then you're like, wow, this guy really loves me. But they don't love you. They just want to flog you like a donkey and then get what they can. And then when they got what they want, they'll slaughter you. They'll say, we need to lay off. We are paying you too much. Like that. So the point is, we have to have real happiness in our life. This promotion and all is just euphoria for a few minutes. Then they'll drop a whole bunch of boxes in your office. Why? This is your responsibility for taking extra 50,000.
Congratulations.
Yeah, congratulations. Now you're the lead for this project, $50,000 extra. And then you are stuck for another 5 years fixing the mess the other guy did. And then when you leave, another guy will come and say, oh, I have to fix this mess. So every time it's always a mess. Nobody will say, oh, that guy did good job, I have nothing to do. Even if they have nothing to do, they pretend to do something. So the whole thing is not true. We think it's reality, but so many people, like the other day, what Prabhu was saying, in his office, they have a project, they ask this guy to do it. He keeps coming up with excuses for not doing it. He says, no, this reason, if you do this. So every time they meet with him, so 1 month has gone and he hasn't produced anything. So that's what people become, and they think they're happy. So when they meet the boss to explain, how can they be happy? They're afraid, so they come up with all kinds of reasons. And then when they get out of the room, they feel anxiety is gone, and that is the happiness they are feeling. But it's not real happiness. Right or not? So when you go for your job assessment, 90% percentile, 85 percentile, they will say you are in this curve, and you think, oh, I'm in this curve. And you go around telling, my boss say I'm in this curve. But what is that? It's just in a curve, they put a dot there. But where's your happiness coming from? Right? And then when the economy is not so good, they'll say, we all have to cut down on our, we won't give promotion. But for themselves, the bosses will give extra shares and so on. $1 million and all that. And you are thinking, oh, they didn't kick me out of the company. Oh, Krishna, thank you. But actually, it's got nothing to do with Krishna. It's your karma. So we don't think like that. Text 40.
Evam hi loka kratuvikrtami Shayeshnavasati shayana nirmalaha Tasmada drishta shrutadushanam param Bhaktyokta vajatatma labdhaye
It is learned from Vedic literature that by performing great sacrifices, one may elevate himself to the heavenly planets. However, although life on the heavenly planets is hundreds and thousands of times more comfortable than life on Earth, the heavenly planets are not pure, nirmalam, or free from the taint of material existence. The heavenly planets are also temporary, and therefore they are not the goal of life. The Supreme Personality of Godhead, however, has never been seen or heard to possess inebriety. Consequently, for your own benefit and self-realization, you must worship the Lord with great devotion, as described in the revealed scriptures. His point is, there are people who do all this yagya, and it's commonly known in that Satya Yuga that they want to go to heavenly. Mostly people do that, right? It's like promotion, right? You don't like Microsoft, you think Google is a heavenly planet. So you go there. So it's the same thing. They do yagna and then they try to run that heavenly planet. But Prahlad Maharaj says it is also not free of disturbances. There's so much problem. The Danavas and Daityas are always in constant fight with the Swargaloka residents. So there's so much difficulty, even though hundreds and thousands times more comfortable than here. Here you talk about virtual reality. That they can do virtual reality with their powers. They can do anima, lagima, siddhis, all. They can float, they can fly. They don't need Uber, selfless, driverless cars. Their machine, Vimanas, will fly on its own through the mind's desire. Look at the technology. It's not possible to imitate that kind of technology. You have to do, I don't know what they have to do, but if they can do it, they must have that technology. It's there. I can't see them doing it in this material world, this gross place. So in any case, even the position of King Indra is always challenged. He's always worried. If some rishi does some austerity, he comes to disturb, always is there, because he's so afraid. Or he's going to kick me out, now I don't be position, right? So like that. And he doesn't get a golden parachute, no? The CEO here, they get a golden parachute. So he's worried like that. He says, where's my golden parachute? So he goes and disturbs everyone. So therefore, Prahlad Maharaj's point is, it is not practical to even go to heavenly planets, because there is so much envy even in Swargaloka. Everybody is envious. You work so hard, but still, to go there, you have to do so much austerity, so much yagya, sacrifice. You have to observe so many rules, regulations, and then finally you go up there, and then only you live for 100 years only, and then there's no death, so you fall down. So one day you'll be talking to all the apsaras, you think you're so nice, and you'll be falling, and then the apsaras will say, see you.
Your expressions also have to be recorded. They are getting recorded. Oh, it's getting old.
So they fall down. They fall down, and then they come in the rain, and then in the grains, and then in the plains, in the grass, and the cow will eat. Then you become a calf somewhere, or a dog somewhere, or a worm somewhere. So that's how it is. And all this according to just piety only, how pious you are. And piety can change, Sometimes you do something, you scold somebody, you lose something, piety. Just like Ravana, he had so much bones, but his bones cannot hold him strong because he became offensive. So all those bones became reduced. Same with Hiranyakashipu. He had so much bones, but because he was so impious and doing irreligious activities, all those, because of the natural law, he also loses those abilities also, in one way or another. Right, so according to our piety, we obtain different standards of life within this material world also. So when you compare yourself with your neighbors or with others, you should understand you are in that position because of your previous karma. You cannot become envious of the other people. You should say, it's my own fault that I'm in this situation. I can do my best, but how much best can I do is already pre-recorded, and I'm only going to get that much. You're given a gift card which is $49.99. How much do you think you're going to get to spend?
$49.99.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, plus tax, maybe less. Right? Yeah. So you can spend. So when you spend, you how much energy you put in, you're only going to enjoy that much. And so you have to understand that. And therefore, one person's standards of life may not be equal to your standard. And if you artificially do it, there will be happiness on one side, but then there will be distress on the other side. You have to pay the bills. So in actuality, you're still not getting what you only get the standard that you deserve, like that. So in short, everything that you see in this material world is due to impurity in our consciousness. Because the permanent happiness is only in the spiritual world, which is perfect happiness. Purity is there. Okay? Now, of course, according to how we connect with people, we go through different lives, upper planetary, lower planetary, middle planetary. So therefore, Srila Prabhupada quotes what Mahaprabhu says, Brahmanda Brahmati Kona Bhagyavan Jiva. So among those people who are going up and down, there may be some who are fortunate. Bhagyavan means they are fortunate. They get all the blessings of the Bhagavan. And they are the ones, if they are fortunate enough, they meet a guru or some devotee they meet, and then they get the chance. In this case, Prabhupada says one gets the clue. Why is he saying clue? Because it's not something immediately you do, you get it. You have to work on it. It's like if you're given a clue, you have to figure out.
It's like a treasure hunt.
Yes, you have to figure it out, and then finally you realize this is what I have to do. And then you get the results and the treasure, as you say, back to God. And he says, having achieved self-realization. So self-realization is different levels of realization about yourself in the material world. It's not just, I realize I'm not the body. Theoretically is one level, but practically is on another level, and ultimately is going back to God. So those are all different types of self-realization. Remember, there's envy even in the heavenly planets, and the bad qualities even in Swargaloka, just like it's in the lower planetary system. So do not think, oh, I go there, everything is okay. No. You have your same neighbor might come there also, who you don't like. So that person maybe also you're enjoying with you. You know, you can't tell. Text 41.
Yadartha iha karmani vidvanmanya sakrunnaraha karotyato viparyasam amogham vindate phalam.
A materialistic person, thinking himself very advanced in intelligence, continually acts for economic development. So this is a truth statement. Yeah, you'll see that. But again and again, as enunciated in the Vedas, he is frustrated by material activities, either in this life or in the next. Indeed, the results one obtains are inevitably the opposite of those one desires. It's true. You desire so many things, and then you only accept what you can get. Right or not? You are like the fox who says the grapes are sour. You try, and then you say, I didn't get it. Like sometimes children may apply for college, you know, they don't get it. Then they say, oh, they don't know I'm how good I am. Like that, they will say. It's their loss. You know, like a fox saying, this is sour, like that. So again, you'll be frustrated if you pursue material activities. It doesn't matter how many lifetimes you take. Even if you're successful for 100 lifetimes, the most you can get is you become a very qualified karma kandi, and you become, after 100 lifetimes, perfect karma kandi. Brahma. You become like Lord Brahma. And still, Brahma has to go through so much difficulties. He has to deal with all these personalities. They'll come to him for advice and so on, right? So management is not easy. You have to deal with all kinds of people. So Prabhupada says, no one has achieved the results he desired from material activities. All of us, we have our desire, and now we know we didn't achieve so many things, right? We never think about it because we put it in under some blanket or pillow and we hope to forget it. But it's there. We never achieved those things. We dreamed about it. We thought we will be like that, but it never happens. Because we have a previous karma and it's going to act on us. And even though if we think we will want to do that, you try, and you find yourself being frustrated again and again. And we never realize we are wasting my time. I'm not going to get it. Sometimes people do. They go to college, they want to become an engineer, they try, and then they're good at maths, but then they can't do the physics, and so they can't get into engineering. But then they go to community college, they want to do the physics part, they study hard, they come back, and they again get into admission to university engineering. Again they do, but they don't get the best degree. You know, they end up doing some mechanical engineering or something which is not useful. Some general engineering degree, and then they are unhappy. They can't get what they want. So this we see happening so many times, and yet we don't want to accept that it happens. And okay, let's say you do it and you get it. What is the end then? You get everything you want in life. What are you looking for? Right?
It's all going to go away anyway.
Yeah, but what is it that they want? They say, I want to be I want to be the best engineer. They become best engineer. What is it that they are expecting at the end? Happiness, right? But they don't get the happiness. They are number one engineer, but nobody will recognize them. The company has so much politics, right? So in company you work, whatever you learn, they don't care. What works is who you know.
Yeah.
Who you suck up to. Right? It's like that. So much politics, office politics. So they are frustrated again because they are not happy. So then they jump to another job. They'll apply and they think, oh, this will be better. Then it may be like the from the pot into the fire.
Yeah.
Like that. It's even worse sometimes. And sometimes it may be slightly better.
There's this real thing. A tennis player named Boris Becker who won the Wimbledon when he was 16.
Yeah.
And then by 20, he thought he has achieved everything. He actually tried to commit suicide because he didn't know what to do after that.
Wow.
Right? So, he didn't commit suicide, but he said,
he went through that phase, frustration of life. What else is there to do? So you are going to get your results whether you work hard or not. But it doesn't mean if you don't work, you don't get it. You will be forced to do some work to get your results. It could be the same way or slightly different. Like, for example, if you're going to be an engineer, even if you're in the worst school, you will still get your karma will fall in place, and then you get to go to that school. I was reading one biography about one lady. Her family lost everything in New York, and so they were living in the streets, in the, the park? Central Park?
Central Park.
Yeah, so they lived in the park, and then the father was addict, the mother is addict, so drug addict. So the girl tried to go to school and then come back, and sometimes she misses school and so on. But so much difficulty over, somehow or other, you think it's a great fortune, people are so, but it's a karma. She meets some person who feels sorry for her. And then they help her, the teacher helps her, and then they apply for a scholarship for her, and she gets to go to school. But then again, her parents go to severe hospital case, so she drops everything, goes to take care of the parent in the hospital. And then she stops schooling for 6 months, and then again they try to locate her, and then she bring her. So finally, she does high school GED or something, like that. So when she passes that, she applies. And guess what she gets? She gets MIT. But look at the thing. She's meant to go through that, and so. But her life in the beginning looks terrible, but at the end it looks so rosy. But still, it happened because of her karma. She could have been born in a wealthy family and still gone to MIT, but the impact is not there so much from our point of view. But the understanding is, we have to know is that your karma has already been fixed. You're going to only get that much happiness and that much frustration. No matter what you imagine in this life, it's not going to change. And that's one of the reasons why Brahma in his prayers, he says, Tatenu kampunsu samichamana. He has realized that, the difficulties we go through is due to our past karma, and we should just accept it first. And in accepting, we should continue our service to Krishna, irregardless of how difficult our life situation is, because then Krishna will see that our ability or our intention is to please him, and therefore he opens his door into his kingdom. And that's a very important thing to understand for ourselves also. So similarly, when you are raising a child and so on, you try everything to help the child, but if you find that there's certain thing that cannot be fixed, then you should take a step back and ask, what is it wrong in this picture? Am I the one, or is this going to be like that? And then likewise, you support the person. Okay, you can't do that. That's fine. Instead of saying you're stupid, you have no brains, all those things won't help you, won't help the child. So Prabhupada says so many nationalists, economists, other ambitious persons have tried for happiness individually or collectively, but history proves that they have all been frustrated, right? You can see the previous political leader in US, President Obama, he tried, but the House, Common House or whatever, House of Commons or whatever, what is it?
House of Commons is
in British.
In England.
House of Representatives. They all,
Senate and House of Representatives.
Yeah, so they put them down, and the senators put him down. So he cannot. He may have a good plan, but so his karma was just to be a president and couldn't do much. It's like that. So they're all frustrated. Nobody came out of the presidency and say they're so happy. They can get a lot of talk in different colleges for $1 million per talk, but still they are not happy. They're never happy. They have all failed, Prabhupada said. This is the law of nature, as clearly explained in the next
verse. So that's 42. Sukhaya dukkha mokshaya sankalpa iha karminaha sadapnoti haya dukkam anihaya sukhavrataha.
In this material world, every materialist desires to achieve happiness and diminish his distress. That's a fact. And therefore, he acts accordingly. That means he tries to follow some rules. Actually, however, one is happy as long as one does not endeavor for happiness. That's the key. As soon as one begins his activities for happiness, his conditions of distress begin. So if you get a job, just be satisfied, you'll be okay. But when you try, I need a better house, then you buy $1 million house, and then you don't have the funds to pay, then immediately you'll tell your wife, why are you sitting at home? Go and work. Pay the bill. Yeah, it's true. They will talk like that. I've come across so many cases like that. Why are you sitting? Go to the university or go to some beauty salon, learn how to do all facial thing, do for your neighbors and get some money. And then the silly wife has to go around running around. Instead of staying at the temple and doing some seva, they go out catching a massage or whatever they do, and they think they are happy. So the question is, how can they be happy, right? Right or not? You're doing something, some ugly person, beautiful person, you got to slap their face, massage, right or not? Massage and so on. And they feel they are more beautiful. It's true. They've seen it so many times. They go for a facial, right? They come out all puffed up. They think they're so beautiful.
Nothing has changed.
Nothing worse, actually.
Yeah, they do this hair cutting.
Yeah.
Massage. This guy's video is shown. He's beating like him. And people are happy actually after that.
Yeah.
Because you paid money for it, no? So
yeah, so you better be happy.
There has to be some value for the money, so you feel okay. I didn't get cheated. Like
it's some beating.
Yeah, it's a fact. Yeah.
But there are these jokes on the internet. So they have this picture of a man. So he has like really long hair. And the before and after picture, like there's a obvious change. They were $20 for the haircut, and they have a woman with like long hair, and after pictures, it looks exactly the same. $300.
I agree with you. That's a good point. That's true. Yeah, they just say, what is that? Oh, at the end they have to do something. What they call that? Trimming or something they call it. So they trim like half an inch, and then they pay like $150 just like that. You know? But why you pay? Oh, this is a very great place to go.
No, because other places they may not trim just half; they may trim more or less. Yeah, it's like exact half.
Exact half.
That's why it's
so silly. It's like that. These are specialists. So they cut for what Beyonce and all that. So I go to that shop, and then they also cut me. It's so foolish, you know. So that's what Prabhupada is trying to say. You know, we all shouldn't become so foolish. We want happiness, but in the actual happiness, sometimes you want to die. You know, I know this case. The girl went for blonde dyeing, came out blue. Came out blue, and then she just pretend everything is okay, you know, but very unhappy for at least a few months, you know, because the hair has to grow, no? So they say they cannot bleach again. So it's so funny, you know? So these are, practical application where you can see people are not really happy. So there are other kinds of happiness people try, but they are really not happy. Like, you buy a property and, you think you're going to build a nice house. So you pay the property, prime land, $1 million. Then you find you don't have any more money. Because you had $1 million to build a house, but then the land costs $1 million. Then what do? You're in a fix, your anxiety, and then you're trying ways to raise more funds to build or to sell. Then after 6 months, you find they sell the place. They say no, you ask them. They say no, I was trying to just make some money, quick money. That's how they'll talk. But they actually were in super much distress, and it's a fact. So when we don't endeavor for more than what we get, we will be satisfied, or we learn to be satisfied, and no more anxiety. Otherwise, it's the same thing, right? You buy a lottery ticket, and then you're thinking you're going to strike. But they say, what is the chance?
Yeah, once in several hundred million or something.
Yeah, it's more than that. It's like 1 in a billion, like that. You striking something like that. So that means you have to buy 1 billion combination of tickets to strike the money, and then you find that you spend more than you actually win. So I remember working long time ago. My colleagues would go and buy the tickets. They all pool, or everybody paid $10, still going on. Eternally, they're hoping to get it success. So they will buy, and then for a whole year they won't win, and then suddenly they will all win $500. But they had, if you calculate, they spend more than $500. Occasionally, one person here or there, they get $100 million. But it's their karma to get that $100 million.
But most of the people who win, they actually commit suicide.
Or something happens, or they get killed.
Yeah, they get killed, or they commit suicide.
Or they become bankrupt.
Or they become bankrupt. Yeah.
Crazy.
So if you win, you have to become anonymous. So if a devotee you win, you'll disappear. No more Mangalarti. Really, honestly. Because people will be looking for you, All those people who see you in the picture, they take, right? You have to go. So they'll be waiting for you, or some guys, some people, either from Mexico or someone, the drug cartel will be waiting to kidnap you, and then they'll kill you to get the money, stuff like that. So it's distressful. Even when you win, it's distressful. So there's no such thing as being, I'm going to be happy in this material world. We all have a set limits set already. Each body has so much happiness, so much distress. So you cannot change it too much. A little bit you can tweak here and there, but that's about it. So unless you take up Krishna consciousness, your plans and ambition will all come to futile ending. You will never be happy. So the Vedas say, Prabhupada writes, one should not try to increase happiness or decrease distress, for this is futile. That means you're not going to be successful. Rather, it encourages one to work for self-realization, not for economic development. Why Prabhupada says this is impossible to improve? You cannot improve your economic situation any more than what you have. Out of mercy, devotees may help one another, but that's about it. And then Prabhupada mentions, without endeavor, one can get the amount of happiness and distress for which he is destined. And one cannot change this. Therefore, it is better to use one's time for advancement in spiritual life or Krishna consciousness. So his argument is perfect and sound. One should not waste his valuable life as a human life. Because what we do if we do not go for spiritual life, we try to increase our economic situation. But you're not going to get anything better.
That's interesting, right? Because we think we are working so hard to find happiness and avoid distress.
Yes.
No matter what, even without doing, I guess.
You have to do something.
Yeah. But
one should perform one's duty.
Correct.
Yeah.
But theoretically, even without doing, I'm going to get the happiness and distress.
Yes,
that's what I'm destined anyway.
Yes, you're destined to only. So in any situation, let's say you don't study or what, you'll still get the same situation you end up in. That's the point. Somehow or other, you'll get some opportunity. Hey, I like you, come and work for my company. The boss will give you, then he suddenly has a heart attack, you take those company. So you become the guy in charge of it. So you have the same situation you are now, like that. So it's going to happen one way or another. So therefore, Srila Prabhupada says, it's impossible to improve this.
But Prabhu, isn't it that we are always incurring karma? Like if someone works hard, they say that,
Yes.
And then there is also previous karma, but your present karma can also define your destiny.
Yes, your present karma, if you are not careful, it creates new karma.
Right.
Yeah. So you have to be careful. If you, as you say, if you over endeavor, that creates a new body also. So you are thinking, I must be living like that, I must be in this penthouse in New York, Fifth Avenue, like that. And then that desire will be fulfilled. So next life you become a rat in Fifth Avenue penthouse. Yeah, that's the extreme, but it's possible if you're not careful with the human life. Yeah. So
one has to be very complete in their desire, thinking, I want to be a human. Something.
We are just reading our Hiranyakashipu. Reading our Hiranyakashipu. He's the most intelligent Asura. He couldn't get it right. Okay.
This building.
Yeah.
There'll always be some loophole you'll get caught in.
Yeah, because this material energy is so powerful, you will make mistake. You are meant to make mistake in this material world. Yeah. Only thing you make mistake is Krishna consciousness. Everything is mistake prone. Okay, we will end here and we'll start around 2:05. 2:05. This is a long chapter.